Hello, and I'm just going over quickly the basics without showing everything, just a quick verbal explanation as to what has to happen to install the triple gauge pod on your 2005 to 2010, probably, no, 2009 V6 Mustang. You're going to want to use 18 gauge wire with the specific gauges I have. I have all Ford Racing to run an illumination wire, a ground wire, the sensor wires, and the power wires basically. And you can piggyback from each one of the three gauges using connectors. I'm just putting the two wires in there and then piggybacking power with the lowest one having the direct source of power. You're then going to want to connect the illumination wires into your headlight / dimmer control. That way at night you can dim your lights if you prefer, and they only come on with the lights. So when you turn your lights on, your gauges will be illuminated. I chose to run the wire through here, down through this piece here. It's actually going to go up, and then it comes out through the bottom. And there's a perfect area to ground right there. And then in the back, it's super dark. I can post a picture. There's a small pass-through that comes out by the driver's side wheel well that just has a cutout for an accessory wire to run through. That way you can run your wires through to the engine bay, where I will have them run through and wiring like this to keep an OEM look. I'll run the wires through the car in that kind of plastic piping hose. I'm not sure what the perfect technical term is. Obviously fixed up with some appropriate tape, most likely, and all that similar to an electrical tape. I'll be running that over the back, all the way over here to the fuse box. Let's see here, let me get this disconnected quickly. Where I'll be creating a couple new fuses to power the wires. And this will be the source of power for the gauges. There are a couple simpler ways to do it. I think this is the most OEM way to do it. I think this is the most proper way to do it. You can do some research online. You can find some guys who have talked about different ways to do it. There's not a lot out here on the S197, but this is what I'm going to be running all the wires to. As far as the power goes, illumination is going to be on the headlight switch, power comes to the fuse box, and then the sensors will go to their respective spots. I have a voltage gauge, a oil pressure gauge, and a water temperature gauge, and each one of those has specific areas that they need to go into. Sensors that the kit comes with. Like I said, I'm running 18 gauge wire. I don't have it connected yet. You're gonna have to pop out your door sill just a little, or the cover just a little bit. You're gonna want to remove the stock A pillar, which just kind of pulls out pretty easily. Just put it somewhere safe. Like I said, I pulled mine through the trunk. If you're going to leave your trunk open for a while, make sure you deactivate the light so you're not killing your battery. But, you know, I've got this panel here which fits over where your hood latch is. That has to be removed to access the area where your wires go down, and where you can run through the firewall without cutting a hole in the firewall. Got the stock A pillar here. Here, the oil sensor, the gauges, and their mounts to hold them in place. Like I said, I have the Ford Racing gauges, which in my opinion are they're the more expensive side, but better looking. They're obviously not popped in yet. Oil pressure, volts, and water temp. All good gauges to have in a naturally aspirated car. Obviously, if you're supercharged or turbocharged, you're going to want a boost gauge. And a couple other gauges more relevant to having the forced induction cars. But other than that, you know, it's not too bad. It's, you know, a little, not frustrating, it just takes a little while to do. And if you're new at this stuff like myself, you just want to take your time to do it right. Like I said, I'd recommend doing the hosing or putting the rubber plastic hose all over your wires. That way they're weatherproofed more than the plastic cover on the wires, and that way they are more OEM looking instead of having a bunch of wires being dragged through your engine and just not looking very professional. I'll shoot a quick video to upload after I get all of this done, but I couldn't find anything in the S197, much less a V6, so I figured I'd try to get this all documented somewhat. I have a lot of pictures displaying the dismantle process. I use these to pry out some of the pins and things you need to get out. I'll document the wheel well coming out. Obviously I have a lift right there, just didn't want to move the Cobra to put it on the lift, so I've just got my wheels turned completely, popped out the pins there. There's one back there, and there are 2 screws up here, and I've just got the wheel cranked and should be able to pull out just the back part of the driver's side wheel well to access that area that has the little pre-designated access for the wires to come through. That way it's much easier to that way you just don't have to drill through the firewall, mess with anything Ford doesn't want you to mess with. Like I said, I'll upload a video in a little bit on the same channel that will show what that looks like. But other than that, hopefully this will give you just a rough idea as far as verbally and a little bit of a visual as to how you're going to want to go ahead and install this. Obviously this fits over the stock A-pillar. They give you like little things to drill into. I'm just going to use some strong double-sided tape because I don't like to drill if I don't have to. But like I said, hopefully this helps out a bit. If anybody else has a better way or some suggestions or something like that, feel free to leave them in the comments. But other than that, like I said, hopefully this helps out a little bit. If it doesn't, sorry to waste your time. But I'll upload those videos in a little bit and help out anyone else who's trying to upgrade a V6 far past when it should reasonably be upgraded. Thank you.